everyone, welcome back and thank you for watching. I put together my favorite Easter DIYs that I did last year, so I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to turn on the bell button so you can get notified every time I upload. With that being said, now let's craft.
I'm going to start with the hop sign. So from Dollar Tree, I'm using a Valentine sign. I know they're not carrying these right now, but Dollar Tree has so many different signs you can use instead. I just love these signs because you can make 2 signs out of this one. For this DIY, I'm only using one of them. So I'm going to remove the back ribbon and the staples and paint this using some white chalk paint. I didn't sand down where the staples were at, so you can see it a lot. So then I decided to sand the whole entire sign, and I love how this left it. For the letters H and P, I'm using these giant letters that I got from Michael's a few weeks ago. They were on sale for $1. But Dollar Tree carries different things you can use, like poster sticker letters. Now, I'm going to paint these black since they're red. Once they are dry, I'm going to place them on my sign. So I'm doing the H and the P only with these stickers. For the letter O, I will be doing something different. So I'm using the Dollar Tree wire jute cord to make the O. Now I decided to add some of the boxwood greenery from Walmart. I'm going to add 4 little stems, 2 going one way and the other 2 going the other way. I'm going to glue them with hot glue. I did leave a space in between the greenery, so like that I can add a bow. I'm going to make a bow using this Walmart ribbon that I got during Christmas. I did end up switching it to a buffalo check instead later on. I then thought it would be so cute to make this into a bunny, so I'm going to make some ears using this galvanized heart. I'm using one of the Dollar Tree bunnies as a stencil for the ears. Using the ear that I just cut out, I'm going to use it as a stencil now, so like that they can be the same size. Once I have my ears, I'm going to glue them to the wreath. The last thing I will be doing is just gluing the wreath to my sign. Since I'm going to add a stand to this little sign, I'm going to just cover the back using a piece of construction paper. For the stand, I will be using a piece of paint stick that I already had with some Jenga blocks. I did paint them using the Waverly Antique Wax. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful. I just love how that O turned out with the little bunny ears. For my next DIY, I will be using another Dollar Tree Valentine sign. I'm going to take this apart because I will be using the back of this sign, and I'm going to paint it using some white chalk paint. I just love these signs. They make anything look so high-end. I know Dollar Tree isn't carrying them anymore, but you can use any Dollar Tree sign instead. I changed the color of the frame using the Waverly Antique Wax. This DIY is inspired by Pinterest. I fell in love with the Easter Bunny sign that I seen, so I decided to recreate it. From Hobby Lobby, I will be using a buffalo check scrapbook paper. And for the little bunny, I will be using this cute little bunny that came in a Dollar Tree pack. Now that I'm looking at it, this buffalo check background with the pink bunny looks so cute. So that is another DIY you can do instead. Now I'm going to just trace the bunny on the back of the paper. When putting the frame back together, I like to start with the center pieces first and then the side pieces. Before I add the bunny to the front, I am going to flip the sign around. I wasn't able to remove the whole back, so I decided to just cover it using some construction paper. And now it looks so much better. Now to glue the bunny, I am going to use some glue stick. You can't use Mod Podge, but you guys know how I feel about Mod Podge. For the tail, I removed the pom-pom from the pink bunny and added to the new bunny. Now the last thing I did was just outline the bunny. This made it look more high-end and stand out more. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful and it was so easy to make. For my next DIY, I will be using the leftover decor piece from my first DIY. Now I'm going to cut this in half, but before that I'm going to measure it using this L ruler from Dollar Tree. I'm using my handsaw to cut this. My measurements were a little bit off, but I did went back and fix it. I will be using some Dollar Tree popsicle sticks to attach this together. Now I'm going to paint this using my white chalk paint. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. Now for the carrots, I'm using these that I got last year from Dollar Tree. I'm not sure if they're going to bring them this year, but if they don't, Dollar Tree does carry other different carrots you can use instead. I'm going to use the same Hobby Lobby scrapbook paper that I used in my first DIY to trace the carrot. But I'm only doing like the bottom part. The top part, I will be painting it using the Waverly Antique Wax. I also decided to use some boxwood greenery as the leaves, so I am going to cut all of the little stems off and then glue them to the top part. To glue it, I will be using my regular glue stick, but on the top part where the leaves are at, I'm going to use hot glue. I then decided to add some of the burlap ribbon that I removed from the sign. I thought it was too pretty to not use it. I will be doing the same thing to the second carrot, but this time instead of adding some of the buffalo check paper, I painted it using the Waverly Antique Wax. Now that my carrots are done, I'm going to finish my sign. I'm going to sand it down, making it look more rustic and old. And when I painted this, I used way too much paint in the center, so the line disappeared. I will be using a thumbtacks to remove some of the paint, and the line will be more visible. Now I'm going to just glue the carrots to my sign. The last thing I will be adding is the word carrots, 5 cents. So I will be using these stickers that I already had. I'm going to paint them black. I also didn't have a capital C, so what I did is I used one of the zeros from this page and cut it in half, and that is how I got my C. The last thing I did was just trace the carrots with a black permanent marker. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful and it's so cute, and it looks so good with the rest of my DIYs. My next DIY is so easy and simple to do. From Dollar Tree, I will be using one of the wood crates, and I'm going to paint this using the Waverly Antique Wax. To match my other decor, I will be using this buffalo check ribbon that I got from Walmart during Christmas. I'm going to just glue it around the crate, and I also want to cover the little holes that the crate has. For the greenery, I will be using some boxwood greenery from Walmart. I'm going to cut all the stems off from this pick. I decided to make this arrangement more Easter, so I couldn't think of anything but some little ears that are poking out of the arrangement. I am using the Dollar Tree jute wire cord to make the ears, and for them to stand up nice and straight, I am going to glue them to a piece of popsicle stick. And to add some more decorations to it, I will be adding a burlap bow. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful, and I think the little ears look so cute poking out from the greenery. I will be using a Dollar Tree picture frame. I am going to paint this using some white chalk paint, and I will be giving this 2 coats of paint. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. The next Dollar Tree item I will be using is the Simply Blessed calendar. I will be using whatever's in the back of the month of May, which is this Believe in the Good. I was going to start tracing this, but I realized I didn't have a pencil nearby, so I was too lazy to get up. So what I did is just folded all the sides, and then I started to cut it. I will be using my Elmer's glue stick to glue this to the back. Now I'm going to put the back piece back in the frame, and you can leave it like that, but I wanted to decorate this a little more, and I had this cross that I got from Michael's a while back, and I painted it using the antique wax. So then I decided to add it to one side of the wreath, and look how pretty this made it look. And that is it for this DIY. I think it was so easy and simple to do, but yeah, it's so beautiful. For my next DIY, I will be using a Halloween decor, but right now Dollar Tree is carrying some Easter ones you can use instead. I think even St. Patrick's still. So I am going to just remove the paper from the front of this sign. I think the easiest way to even paint this is by just sanding down all the glitter from the front. My paper started to rip off, that's why I just took everything off. And then I painted this using some white chalk paint. Not white, sorry, some black chalk paint. I'm using the Dollar Tree sponge brush, and let me tell you, I dislike these. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but they are so flimsy. I will be adding some greenery to my sign, so I'm using some of these leaves from this pick that I got from Michael's. And I'm just going to glue some going one way and some going the other way and leave like a space in the middle. I am going to add a bow. The ribbon I will be using to make the bow is this beautiful burlap ribbon that I got from Christmas during Halloween. I'm sorry, from Walmart during Christmas. Dollar Tree carries so many beautiful ribbon you can use instead. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted the greenery to go sideways or at the bottom, but I did end up doing it sideways, so I glued the bow sideways. Using my raw sticker letter sheet, I will be putting "He is risen." For the letter R, I wanted it to be a capital R, so I'm going to use a D and cut the little circle at the bottom. For the other part of the R, I will be using a parentheses and cutting it in half. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful. For my next DIY, I will be using a Dollar Tree wood cross. I'm going to paint this using some white chalk paint. I will be adding some greenery to my cross. So from Walmart, I'm going to use the boxwood greenery. I did took 4 little stems off and then tie them together using some jute twine. I am also making a burlap bow using the same ribbon to add it to the center. I then use the Dollar Tree word transfer sheet to transfer the word grace in the center, and look how beautiful this cross looks. Now for the hanger, I will be using some beads and some jute twine. I'm going to cut a piece of jute twine and then make a knot with a loop. This is going to be the hanger. I am then going to start adding the beads. The last thing I did was add this to the cross. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful. It is one of my favorite Easter DIYs I've done this year. But I would love to know which one was your favorite. Let me know down in the comment section. I will be using a Dollar Tree wood bunny. I personally didn't like the sides of the face, so I am going to cut them off. I'm going to paint my little bunny using some white chalk paint. I started to distress this using some wood stain, and I forgot that a little bit goes a long way, so I had it way too much. So then I decided to paint my entire bunny using the stain. I'm going to decorate my bunny using some flowers, and the ones I'm using are from Walmart, but Dollar Tree carries so many beautiful flowers you can use instead. Now for the hanger for this bunny, I didn't realize that my phone stopped recording, but what I use is some wood beads and a piece of jute string. I just added them to the top part. I then thought I needed something else, so I decided to add a bow, and I'm using this Walmart ribbon. I got it during Christmas. To finish it off, I distressed the bunny a little bit by sanding it down using a scent sheet. And that is it for this DIY. I think this bunny turned out beautiful, and it looks so high-end, and it was so easy to make. For my next DIY, I will be using a Dollar Tree long sign. Now this one is from Halloween, but Dollar Tree right now is carrying some spring ones you can use instead. I'm going to remove the staples and then paint this using some white chalk paint. This is an old sign I was going to use a few weeks ago, but I ended up not using it. I really like how the bunny turned out, so I'm going to stain this using the same wood stain. This is a mint wax wood finish semi-transparent color stain in the color Classic Gray 271. Look how pretty this sign looks. Now you can add whatever you want to the sign. I am adding Happy Easter. So for the word happy, I will be tracing this metal sign that I got from Dollar Tree. And for the word Easter, I will be using the Dollar Tree poster sticker letters. But they are black, so I am going to paint them using some white chalk paint. I gave these 2 coats of the white paint. I was going to give it 3, and I did to one of them, but it started cracking, so I was like, I'll just leave them with 2 coats. Now, once they were dry, I just started to add them to my sign. I didn't like how the sides of the sign looked, so I decided to cover them up using some flowers. Now some of these flowers didn't have some leaves, so I am going to add some to make it look fuller. These little greenery or leaves came with the pick, so I'm going to cut those so they can lay nice and flat. Now I'm going to glue them going up, and then the flowers at the bottom. To the other side, I'm going to do the same thing but the opposite way, going down. To hang my sign, I added some sawtooth hooks to the back, and that is it for this Happy Easter sign. I think it turned out beautiful. For my next DIY, I will be reusing this box wood crate. I got this from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint it using some white chalk paint. I will be making this into a tray. So first I'm going to cover the holes using this Walmart ribbon. I think this ribbon is so pretty, and it's also gray, so it matches with my other DIYs. I did have to go around it twice. I did try to add the handles before I added the ribbon around the whole crate, and it kind of looked weird, so I took them off, and that is why I decided to add some ribbon around it. For the handles, I will be cutting 2 pieces of the same ribbon and then adding them to the side using some hot glue. On top of that, I'm going to add some thumbtacks, so like that it looks like they were screwed in there or nailed. And that is it for this little crate. Now you can add whatever you like inside of it. I am going to add some greenery. So from Walmart, I'm using some boxwood greenery and the same flowers from my other DIYs. I'm going to just place them and arrange them however I liked or however they look better. And that is it for this tray. I think it turned out beautiful. You gotta let me know down in the comment section which one was your favorite, because I would love to know. I will be using this dowel, this bunny sign, and moss. I got all of these from Dollar Tree. For the vase, I will be using a galvanized bucket. This one's from Dollar General. I'm going to start off by removing everything, the tag, and the carrots from the bunny. I will be also removing the bow, and I'm gonna save the bow because I will be putting it back on once I add the moss. Next, I'm going to paint the bunny using this English ivy green. I am only giving it one coat of paint, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I am only painting it because when I add the moss, in case I miss any spots. I decided to paint the back of the bunny. I also painted some of the dowel, so when I glue it to the bunny, it blends in. As you can see, one side looks way better than the other. You can see some of the bunny, but that's okay because I'm going to use that side to glue the moss. I'm going to start by gluing moss to the bunny, and I'm going to do it by sections just because the glue dries real quick. Once I am done gluing the moss, I'm going to trim it around. And this is how it looks. Now I am going to glue the bow back. I lost the clip where I finished painting the dowel, but all I did was I painted the rest brown, and now I am going to glue it to the back of my bunny. And the last thing I did, I added a piece of foam inside the bucket, and I added some rocks, and then I added some of the Spanish moss on top of it. I ended up switching buckets because the bucket was too short and it looked weird, and I switched it to another one that I already had, and I removed that ribbon it had around it, and I added some of this brown plaid so it can match the rest of my decor. And I also added a little bow on top of that burlap bow. I will be using the carrots I removed from the bunny sign in my first DIY. So for the carrots, I started to peel off the orange part, and I was gonna leave the green part, but I accidentally ended up peeling some of the green off, so I just peeled the whole thing off of the first carrot. Now that's why I'm going to do that to the second carrot. I'm going to paint the leaves of the carrots using the English ivy green, and I am going to paint front and back. The only reason I painted them was because I'm going to use the moss sheet for the leaves, and my moss sheet has some moss missing. As you can see right here, you can see it. Next, I'm going to cut them out and then just glue them to the carrot. For the rest of the carrot, I will be using juice string, and I'm going to wrap it around. And I'm only using the glue at the beginning and then here and there so the string doesn't move. Once I was done, I added the ribbon and the bow. So the carrots can be able to stand, I used some wooden blocks, and I got these from Dollar Tree, and I glue them to the back of one carrot. And to the other carrot, I used one piece of Jenga block, and I glued it halfway the carrot, so when I put it, it stands up higher. And then I added one of the wooden blocks behind the Jenga blocks so it can stand. And they can stand like this. I did paint the front of the Jenga block brown, and you can arrange them however you want. I just love how these turned out. I'm going to use the sign I got from Dollar Tree, and I am going to practically redo it. I'm just going to make it more my style. I'm going to remove the string, tag, and also the carrot, the egg, and the rabbit. So I love how the front looked. I love the lettering, except I didn't like the color. So I was going to use the front, so I started to paint the sign white, and then I was gonna go over the letters with a different color, but I didn't like how it looked, so I ended up flipping the sign over and then painting the other side white. Using a ruler and a pencil, I'm going to draw the arrows. Next, I'm gonna go around the arrows using this brown paint. For the words, I will be using two different stencils. The first arrow is going to say egg hunt, and I'm using this wheel stencil I got from Dollar Tree. The second arrow is going to say carrot patch, and I use the other stencils I had. And for the third one is going to say Easter bunny, and I hand drew that myself. For egg hunt and Easter bunny, I did burnt umber, and for carrot patch, I used hazelnut. Now I'm going to distress my sign, and I'm going to use this antique wax, and let me tell you something, I love it. Thank you so much, Fanny. I'm using it because you always use it, and I love how your stuff turns out. So I had to get it. All I'm doing is distressing around the arrows and also around the words. I then distressed it some more using a darker color. I'm going to use the stuff I removed from the sign, and I'm going to like redo them. I mean, they are pretty how they are like that, but they don't go with the farm style. So I'm going to paint the bunny green and the egg dark brown. The carrot, I painted it a gray color, but I ended up not using the carrot. I'm going to use my moss sheet and trace the bunny. This moss sheet is from Dollar Tree. I love using the moss sheets instead of the regular loose moss. It's a lot better because it is less messier and it's so easy to cut. Next, I'm going to just glue it to the bunny. So for the carrot, I'm going to use this galvanized heart I removed from a Valentine's sign. So what I did is I cut it and I thought it was gonna fit on the carrot and it was too small. So I decided to just use the piece instead. And all I did is I added some leaves to it so it can look like a carrot. And for the egg, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the carrots in my second DIY. I'm just going to wrap it around with juice string and I'm going to use glue here and there so the string doesn't move. Here I'm doing the egg that came with the sign. It was too big for my sign, so I ended up doing a smaller one using cardboard. But I did the same method. I wrapped it around with juice string. Next, all I did was glue the bunny, the carrot, and the egg to the sign. So I had to glue some string to the back so I can be able to hang it because I didn't pay attention and I did my sign upside down. So the holes are at the bottom of my sign and now I can't use them. I did end up covering them after with glue and then painted over them. I wanted to incorporate the plaid ribbon, so I added a bow to the string. And the last thing I added was a piece of paint stir stick that I painted brown so it can look like a steak. For the base, I will be using these clay pots. I got these from Dollar Tree. 3 come in a pack, but I'm only using 1 and I'm going to paint it brown. For the stick, I'm using 2 popsicle sticks and I'm gluing them together. And then here I'm painting it brown, but then I went over it with black. Next, I'm going to cut strips of this moss sheet so then I can glue them around the clay pot. I'm using another piece of floral foam and I'm going to put it inside the pot. For the eggs, I'm using the egg I didn't use in my third DIY, and then I did another smaller egg using cardboard, and I used the same method I used for the carrots. I just wrapped them around juice string. I'm going to glue the small egg sideways or a little bit slanted, and then I will be gluing the bigger egg underneath, the opposite and slanted too. Then I'm going to glue it inside the foam and then add some rocks. And the last thing I'll be adding is this plaid bow so it can match the rest of my decor. For the base, I will be using 2 candle holders. These are from Dollar Tree. They come in 3 different sizes and I'm using the smallest ones. I'm going to paint them white using my white apple barrel acrylic paint. I did remove the sticker from the bottom, but you don't really need to. If you don't want to, you won't be able to see it. And I didn't put paint over that. I will be giving them 2 coats of paint. I'm going to distress the rim, the bottom part, of the candle holder using burnt umber and this paintbrush. After I'm done doing that, I'm going to distress the rim of the candle holders and then I will be distressing the middle part. Now I'm going to use some juice string to add more decor to my candle holder, and I'm going to glue it around this middle part. I'm not sure what it's called, but I am going to glue the juice string around it, and I'm only doing this halfway only to one of them. And then the other candle holder, I will be adding juice string more than halfway. Like that, the candle holders can be a little different, but yet still match and go together like a set. And that is all for the candle holders. Now we're gonna work on the egg that's gonna go inside the candle holders. And for this, I used just a green egg. Actually, I didn't buy eggs this year. I still have some from last year from my kids. So I grabbed 2 of them. And I'm using green like that. If some spots is green still gonna be show like that, I don't have to paint it. But all I did was I put glue around the egg, and then I used this moss I got from Dollar Tree. Sorry, it looks so messy, but yeah, it can be messy. And one of the eggs I did glue more moss, like I gave it like a second, almost like a second layer like that. It can be a little bit bigger. I just didn't have any, and I didn't want to go purchase a bag just to use one, because I already have all my eggs I'm gonna use for my kids. So I had to improvise, and all I did was add more moss, and it worked. Once I was done adding the moss, I used my scissors to trim it, and this is how my eggs turned out, one bigger than the other. Before I put my topiary together, I'm going to add some bows to them, so I'm going to show you how I did it. What I use is this brown plaid ribbon, and I got this from Walmart. It was around, I'm not sure, I'm not gonna lie, because I got this during fall, but it was less than $2. Now I am going to put the topiaries together. I am gluing these small wood blocks I got from Dollar Tree to make the eggs taller. I didn't glue the eggs inside. They are removable, so you can use the candle holders all year round. I am then going to glue the bows, one on each candle holder. And this is how my little egg topiaries turned out. How cute are they? For this DIY, I will be using juice string, 2 moss sheets, and the Easter sign. All of these are from Dollar Tree. I am going to remove the juice string, and I'm also going to remove the little bunny tails because I will be reusing them. And I was planning to use the front, but it is so glittery, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna cover welcome, and I didn't want to paint it and it be different from the whole sign. I was gonna use the front, so I sanded some of the glitter off, but then I decided to use the back instead. Since there's no bunnies in the back, I'm going to use a piece of white paper and trace one bunny to use it as a template. Now I'm going to paint the back of my sign using my white acrylic paint from the brand Apple Barrel. I am only going to give this one coat like that. Some brown's gonna be peeking through. I am using this paintbrush. It leaves it streaky. That's why I like this paintbrush. I got this in the paint department section. Once all the paint is distributed to the sign, I'm only going to brush it one way, going up and down the whole way through, and I'm not stopping in the middle like that. The lines look all straight and it looks like this. Next, I'm going to distress my sign. I'm using burnt umber again. I know some of you guys are tired of me distressing my stuff, but I love it. I love the farmhouse style. If you want, you can skip this step, but I'm doing the same thing I always do. I am going to distress the ends and then distress the sign. I am not doing no wood planks to this sign. I'm only distressing it, making one big piece of wood, making it look like one piece of old rustic wood. I am going to set that aside and I'm gonna start working on the bunnies. So I'm gonna cut out the bunny I traced out in the beginning of my video. Next, I'm going to take out the moss sheet, and I got these moss sheets from Dollar Tree. I'm going to flip them over and put the template on top of it, and then I'm going to trace it with a permanent marker. I will be doing 4 bunnies, 1 representing each member, my kids, me, and my fiance. As you can see here, one sheet fits 3 bunnies, so depending on the size of your family is how many sheets you're going to need. I decided to leave 2 bunnies the size of the template, but I wanted to make the bunnies that are gonna represent my kids smaller, so I am going to cut this bunny template a little bit smaller. This 3rd bunny is going to represent my daughter. Since the 4th bunny doesn't fit, I'm going to use another moss sheet, but I'm going to cut the bunny template a little bit smaller since my son is younger than my daughter, and that is going to represent my son. And this is how they look. Now I am going to start to cut them out using my scissors. By the way, you can use the regular moss and hot glue to do the bunnies instead of using the moss sheets, but I like these moss sheets because they are less messier than the regular moss. So I was arranging them, and just as I was about to glue them, I noticed that some of the bunnies had some moss missing, so you were able to see the white through. So what I did is I traced the bunnies with a pencil, and then I'm going to go and fill it in, well, not everything but a little bit, with some green paint, just like that. When I glue the bunnies, you won't be able to see the white and you're only gonna see green, or it's gonna blend in with the green. As you can see, they are not perfect, and that's okay because once I add the moss sheets, you're not going to be able to see it. To do my soon-to-be last name, I am using juice string and regular glue. I am going to freehand draw it, and I messed up several times, as you can see, so good thing I'm using a pencil. Other options you can use are wood letters, poster letters, or even the transfer method. To glue down the juice string, I will be using regular glue. I tried using my glue gun, but the tip is too big because I have a full size. For this, I needed my mini one. I just don't know where I put it, so I'm going to use the glue, and it worked for me. So I had started by putting the glue directly to the juice string, but then my hands got all messy, so I grabbed a piece of paper and then put some glue there, and I'm going to use a paintbrush instead. Now I'm going to add the bunnies to the sign. I'm going to reuse the tails I took off from the front, and I'm going to make 2 of them smaller for the smaller bunnies, and then I'm gonna leave the other 2 regular. The last thing I'll be adding are 2 small bows I made out of this plaid ribbon. I got this from Walmart, and I added one to the 2 of the bunnies. So from Dollar Tree, I'm going to use this giant egg and the 2021 Blessed calendar. I still have a few pages left, so I'm using the month of March for this one. As you can see, the page is way smaller than the egg, so I'm going to just trace the top part of the egg. Now to cover the hole on the top, I cut a little piece of paper from the same page and then just glue it first, and then I glue the rest of the page on the egg using my Elmer's glue stick. For the bottom, there's so many different things you can do. You can paint it white, you can leave it like that, but what I decided to do is use a piece of this burlap roll and just glue it to the bottom. As you can see, I didn't glue the whole entire burlap. I only did it at the top. Now, for it to glue good to the back, I did have to cut a little bit so like that it's not too lumpy. From Dollar Tree, I'm going to use one of their metal signs. I got these last year. I'm not sure if Dollar Tree is going to bring them out this year, but you can use the Dollar Tree wood letters to write something out, or the little wood signs that they're carrying now. I did glue this like in the middle of the burlap and the paper. I did ended up moving it later on more towards the bottom because I did add a bow that I made using this pretty stripe ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby. It was $3.99, but I got it on sale when they were 50% off for $1.99. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful. For my next DIY, I'm using this wire basket. It is a gold color. This was supposed to be round, but I had this for a while already that I like squeezed it together. So it's more like an oval. Now I'm going to paint this using some white chalk paint. The next thing I will be using is this burlap roll, and I'm going to glue it to the basket, but I'm only gluing it to the bottom half of it using hot glue. I then flipped the basket around and started pushing the burlap inside the holes, and then used a piece of jute string to tie them. The reason I did this is because I don't need it to be flat. I am adding some Shredded paper, mine is from Walmart, but Dollar Tree carries some you can use instead. I'm going to show you two options to use this little nest basket. The first one is just a regular nest with eggs, and the eggs I'm using are from Walmart, but Dollar Tree carries some like these you can use instead. To complete the basket, I will add a bow, and that is it for this first option. I think it turned out beautiful. For option number 2, I will be using 3 picks of the boxwood greenery from Walmart. I'm going to cut the stems off from only 2. Now I'm going to place all the stems all around the basket. For the third pick, I'm going to just fold the stem and place it in the center. The way I'm going to add the eggs is by using some Dollar Tree skewer sticks. I'm going to just put them inside the little holes. These eggs already come with little holes, so I'm just using that and then just place them in the basket just here and there. And that is it for option number 2. I think both of them look beautiful. Let me know down in the comment section which one you prefer, option 1 or option 2. I would love to know. For my next DIY, I will be using one of these Dollar Tree decor signs. I'm going to take this apart and remove the back, so I do have to remove the hook first. You honestly don't have to remove this if you're going to use the front just like this, but I decided to because it's easier for me to paint it. Now I'm going to use some white chalk paint to paint this, and I did give it like 2 coats. The next thing I will be using is this garland from Dollar Tree. I'm only using one of the bunnies. I'm going to cut the head off and then I'm going to trace it to my sign. An easier way to do this is just by gluing one of the felt bunnies to the sign, but as always, I like matching my stuff. That is why I decided to do it this way, even though this yellow one does match, but it was way too light. Now the next thing I will be doing is just painting the bunny using some Waverly Antique Wax. I wanted the bunny to be a little bit darker, like a dark brown, so I decided to add some black paint. But when I added the black paint, I added way too much. And I grabbed the napkin because I was scared to like swipe it and get paint all over the sign. I decided to just put the napkin on top and start pressing it down. I did this off camera, but then I really like how the napkin left the pattern on the bunny. That's why I'm showing you here how I did it. But I think this bunny looks so beautiful, and I love the pattern the napkin left. Before I finish this off, I do want to show you how I made my small little bow. I used the same ribbon and cut it in half. Now in order for it not to de-thread, I did burn all the edges. Look how cute the bow turned out. Now before I glue it to the sign, I'm going to glue the back piece to the frame using some hot glue. The last thing I'm adding is the word Easter. I'm using the metal words from Dollar Tree. Now, once again, if you don't have the metal words, you can use the Dollar Tree wood letters, even poster sticker, or a Cricut for this. I am also adding the hook back on the sign. And that is it for this DIY. I think it turned out beautiful. I think this is my favorite one because of how the bunny turned out. And that is it, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section which one was your favorite. I would love to know. So thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.